Now that we have the first cross piece in position and constrained, we need to add the second cross piece. Now, zooming in and looking a little more closely at the build instructions, we can see that that center bolt needs to go through this center hole just one space up from this indent. So that would be the sixth one from the end. So in an Autodesk Inventor, I need to bring a new one of these in. Now, I could go to the Place menu and select it, but since I already have one in my assembly, I can save some time by selecting it from the browser, the model browser on the side. I'm going to left click on it and hold my mouse button down, and that is a shortcut to drag out a new piece. Now that piece it brings out in the exact same orientation as the original. Well, I will need this spun around 180 degrees. So I'm going to go to my top view, select my part, free rotate, and remember, if I'm on the outside here, I can just rotate about that axis and get it into relatively the correct orientation where I need it to be. Now to constrain that, I'm going to get relatively close, zoom in a bit so the eye mates spread apart, hold the Alt key, select that bottom eye mate, and try my best to connect it right there. It is free to rotate, so I need to lock a second one in place. And you can see I have that blue curved corner. That's not the eye mate I want. I'm having some problem because the two parts are too close together. So free move, move it off to the side, press the escape key. Now the eye mate is isolated and it will be much easier to pick. Now I put two insert constraints on this side and that piece cannot move. I don't have to add anything to the other side. It's already locked into place. From here, I just need to add these parts. Now we did have an assembly, and I could just drag out that assembly and lock it in place. But I want to show you something even simpler and quicker. Since everything's on a rectangular grid, and I just need two more of these placed right here and right here, I'm going to create a pattern. So I'll click the pattern icon. It's up here in the Assemble tab, ribbon, sorry, the Assemble ribbon. And first, select the components I would like to pattern. I would like to pattern both of these. I'm going to use the Control key, select them both. You can see them highlighted in the drawing. And I just need to tell it what type. It's a rectangular pattern. So I need to define the first direction. I will click here. I'm going to zoom in and pick an edge that goes in the direction I want. So you can see when I hover here, I get an arrow going in that direction. And oh, I have a part as soon as I click there. Well, it's not where I want it because by default, it chose 2 inches. Well, I need a few more inches than 2. I believe I need 5, and it will preview. So if you weren't right and you had tried 4, you can just fix it, get it to 5. And I have a part here and here. All I do is I click OK. And now those parts have disappeared from my model browser because they are part of this component pattern. Element 1 is what we selected, the original items, and element 2 are the copies, 3 and 4. But they are in place and they are locked in place. If I make any changes to these original 2 and move them to a new location, I would end up having to move these too. At this point, we need to place another U-channel that will be used to hold the tower in place onto the back of our chassis. Now, it will also be held in place by these 4-post retainers, bolts, and nuts, the same as we used on the chassis frame. I'm going to just shortcut and bring out a new U-channel. Now, it's not exactly how I want it to be. Again, it's useful to often rotate these things. I'm in free rotate. It's not perfect, but it's pretty close to how I want it. I can click off of it or hit escape to get out of that. Now I'm going to change my view a little bit. Zoom in and try to lock this piece right here. Pick the bottom insert to the top insert, release, and there my piece is hinged in place now. Yep, looks good. So I need to pick a second one. I like to pick one on this side, but to be honest, I could pick one over here. I'm just going to stick over here, see if it will let me select this one and match it with that one. It is locked in place now. I need, 4 post retainers. Need to copy these. Now I can try a pattern, but unfortunately it won't let me select these. Well, main reason being they're already inside of another pattern, and it's actually making me select. If I zoom out, you can see the entire pattern, all 4 of those. So the drawback of having used this in this pattern, I can't use it to make the new pattern. So I will need to bring one out and place that one in place. But after I use the iMate to snap that one in place, and it's not going to let me get the iMate I want unless I move it out to the side. Remember, escape gets me out of that. Once I have these iMated in place, I can make a pattern out of that new one. Select this for my pattern. Now my direction will go across. Zoom in so you can see the edge I'm selecting. And it's not 2 inches. Let's take a guess. Is it 9? It's 9. Click OK. That is locked in place. And we're ready to move on to the next step.